Hey Professor, what up? I'm with my teacher, Mr. Copeland here,
Hi, Professor.
and we're going to do a little bit of an interview with you. I know you've been my teacher for 4 years in the computer area, and I have a few questions about how you came to be a computer teacher and your career as a whole. So one of my first questions was, what sparked your interest in computer? Like, was it from an early age? Like, what sort of thing kind of made you want to do computers?
So, when I was a kid, my dad bought an IBM, and it was in our bedroom, and it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of kids had computers at that time.
Okay.
Pretty much my entire life, I was on a computer. My original degree is in math.
Yeah, I was reading about that. It was a major in mathematics and then a secondary minor in teaching.
Yeah, teaching, and I taught math for 5 years. And then I was on a trip. I was a chaperone, and they were doing Java, and they're talking about if statements. And it reminded me a lot of logic from when I was in college. And I thought, well, I know all this stuff. This sounds familiar. I can help you with it. And then the more I worked with those group of people, the more I thought, well, this is kind of cool. This is a neat subject to study.
Mm-hmm.
That year, the coach for UIL computer science quit, and I was asked to do it,
Oh, okay.
and I did.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I studied, the more I practiced it, and talked to other colleagues. They said, you really need to teach a class. So I kind of taught myself how to code, how to do programming, and then since that time, we've added class upon class upon class, which you've actually been in all of the classes that I teach. So.
Yeah. So I want to touch on, you said that you learned by yourself, or was it like a course that you took to learn the computer language?
I've not taken any courses.
Okay.
Any course I've taken has been stuff like with y'all, where
Mm-hmm.
I would teach myself what you're going to be doing, but I've never been taught in a classroom how to do computer science.
Okay, so just kind of by yourself.
Yeah.
Just kind of.
There was a class that Nick Parlanti did from Stanford online that
Mhm.
was kind of introduction to coding, and that was free, and I took that, but
Okay.
that was pretty basic, but it was still pretty educational.
Okay. My next question is, what are your opinions about the advancing technology with code as a whole and with just programming as a whole?
What I tell people is that the best thing you can do for your career is learn how to write code. Doesn't matter what job you want to do, thinking like a programmer, making programs themselves in any career is useful. I just feel like that's where the jobs are going.
Mhm.
It's not working in a factory, it's designing the factory, it's
Yeah.
making the machines work. And so I think there's no reason why you shouldn't be taught how to write code.
Mhm. And what I learned from my class in computer programming was coding is more like problem solving.
Mhm.
It's just that you're using the code as a tool to solve the problem.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you can think like a coder, you're really thinking like a problem solver. That's exactly
Mhm.
right. And the cool thing about code is there's more than one correct answer, right?
Mhm.
There's not just one way to get there,
Yeah.
and that's what makes it fun.
Mhm. What are some of the things that you want students to retain after a class? Say after computer programming, we have a classroom in there right now. What do you want them to retain after they finish this class?
I would want them to retain resiliency and kind of like grit. I want kids to be able to get through a tough problem and not give up.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of times, especially in modern education, we either get it right or we get it wrong and we move on.
Yeah.
But I feel like very rarely do we get a problem and tackle it and try to do our best with it. And I would hope that the kids that leave my class can go to any class and learn any computer language or anything,
Mhm.
knowing that, all right, I might fail, I might mess up, but I'm going to keep trying and eventually I'm going to get there, and then they're going to grow as a result of that.
Mhm. I've learned just from coding that you need to have just kind of like a persistence.
Mhm.
If it's going to take time, you got to work through it, but you eventually have to get there. You have to get the right answer. You just have to keep on working towards it, and it
Right.
takes time.
Absolutely.
So that's what I thought, that we should, all learn about.
Mm-hmm.
And my last question is, Fortnite or PUBG?
Well, now that Black Ops 4 is out,
Oh, okay.
it would be, what's that battle royale called? Blackout?
Blackout?
Blackout would be my
Oh,
choice.
okay. Just making sure, we're all on the same page.
Yeah. No, I tried Fortnite. It's horrible. I
Oh,
can't
it's
stand
the four. Okay.
it. I'm not good.
Okay. Well, thank you, Professor, for joining us.
Thanks for the time, Professor.
And thank you
Thank you.
for doing the interview with me.
Yep.
All right.
My pleasure.